Peace, family. How y'all doing today? So in this video, I just wanted to give a brief rundown on the energy that we're going on with the sun going into Sagittarius. Good day to y'all. Happy Wednesday. Happy Mercury Day. This is just a little brief explanation on that. This is going to be a good day to research. This is going to be a good day to actually communicate with people. This is going to be a good day to even network too. Business network of all sorts of different realms dealing with communication, commerce, and research. But the sun in Sagittarius. The sun represents our ego, and the sun represents how we express ourselves and the characteristics that we show, and the actions that we take in order to reach a particular goal. Now in Sagittarius, the sun being in Sagittarius, this means that on a global level right now, the way we're expressing ourselves, the way we show our character, the way we express our ego, and the actions that we take are based upon wisdom, expansion, putting actual thought and putting a meaning behind the things that we're going through. And also, like I said, abundance, even possible gluttony, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter rules expansion. And this could be expansion of luck, or this could be expansion of indulgence in a lot of different ways. People who have heavy Jupiter, heavy Sagittarius, or even heavy Pisces energy, could be very overindulgent. Now, the sun in Sagittarius, like I said, there's going to be a spotlight shown on the way that we express our wisdom, our knowledge, our higher learning, and our higher education, because Sagittarius rules higher education too. The kind of colleges that we go to, the different kind of things that we like to research. And then this, because you go to college to learn a particular course, and then as you're going to that particular, or as you're going to college to learn that particular course, there's expansion of knowledge that you're receiving because you're taking so many classes and courses on that one particular topic. Whereas in just regular school, you're just learning a whole bunch of different topics, and then when you're done with school, when you're done with elementary, middle, and high school, then you make the decision of what you want to focus on the most, and then that energy that you put the most focus on, that's the ninth house Sagittarius energy, which is higher learning. This is why colleges and universities rule that energy. Or it's ruled by Sagittarius, and the ninth house rule that energy. Now, going through the houses, I'm going to explain to you how this is going to affect us in our own area of life, because depending on where you're set, depending on what your rising sign is going to depend on how the sun in Sagittarius is going to be affecting your life individually. So let's say you have Sagittarius rising, which means the sun is in your first house. Okay, so the sun being in the first house, first of all, the sun is exalted in the first house. And then with Sagittarius in the first house, you love to learn about yourself. You love to expand upon your own self-interest and your own personality also. This is doing deep research on going inward to actually find out more about yourself. But with the sun being here, you're going to take more action, and you're going to be able to express your own self more. And you may be able to express your own personal interests also. But you got to be careful not to overindulge in that, because the sun's exalted. So you could tire yourself out because you have so much energy going on in this house right now. And then with Sagittarius being there, you don't want to preach down people's throat about the shit that you're interested in. People will want to shut you down in a heartbeat. So be very careful with the sun going through your first house. Now let's say you have the sun going through your second house, which means you have not a Capricorn rising, which means you have a Scorpio rising. So Sagittarius in your second house, you like to expand, and you like to learn, and you like to add more meaning upon the things that you possess, whether it's resources, whether it's people, because you could be very possessive of people. So, you know what I'm saying, just the second house is just values in general, is dealing with money, possessions, and the things that you take care of, the things that you care for on a material level. So you could be very glutton, and with this sun going through the second house, because there's a spotlight being shown on your possessions, but Sagittarius is there, so you may want to get all the cars. You may want to get all the jewelry. You may want to get all the CDs. You may want to have all the girls. You may want to have all the candy, all the toys, or whatever kind of analogy you want to use. So, and you have to be careful not to express yourself too much and try not to express what you possess, because people don't want to hear that shit all the time. Okay, now let's say you have the sun going through your third house right now. Sagittarius being in your third house, this means you like to expand upon your friends, or not really necessarily like your friends, but like your neighborhood. So this kind of energy may be more susceptible to you wanting to explore all the regions of your neighborhood or where you grew up. If you've always been like not stuck, but if you've like never really like explored your own neighborhood, and the only time you really like go out is when you have to go to work, or if you have to go run an errand or something like that, this will be the time for you to probably take action and express yourself and be more expressive in that area. You may call up a few friends and may want to take a trip around the neighborhood or take a trip around the city to just see what's going on. A lot of different energies could play out here, but you may want to communicate the things that you already know, because the third house is dealing with familiarity. The things that you grew up with, the area that you grew up in, the region, the environment you grew up with, this is what you're going to be familiar with. So you may express too much of the things that you already know, and then people may get tired of that and be like, okay, we need to talk about something else. We already know this shit, man. Okay, let's say the sun is going through the fourth house. So you have a Sagittarius fourth house. So what that's going to mean is that you're going to express yourself in a very optimistic way, or in a very overindulgent kind of way when it comes to family matters, when it comes to home matters, when it comes to domestic matters, when it comes to lineage and ancestry. You may preach to people about what your family did or your family lineage, and you may express yourself more even to certain family members that you may have not been so expressive of before. But be careful not to express yourself too much, because then people may be like, well, you've never been this expressive before. Why are you being so expressive now? It's okay to be expressive, but don't throw people off just because you have the sun going through your fourth house. You know you have this energy, but you got to just take advantage of it to the fullest. Especially since it's about to be Thanksgiving time, and even though there's a lot of shit going on with the whole situation of the COVID-19 and everything like that, people are still going to want to communicate with their family in some way, shape, or form. So if you having the sun going through your fourth house, you may have that energy more than ever of wanting to be like, nah, fuck that. I don't give a fuck about staying like away from my family. I want to actually talk to my family, because that's what we've always been doing. Let's say you have the sun going through your fifth house. The sun rules the fifth house. So you having Sagittarius in the fifth house is dealing with entertainment, with children, how you express yourself. So you're going to be, if you have this transit, you're going to be very expressive right now, because there's going to be a spotlight shown on the way you expand your entertainment, or expand the way that you entertain yourself. So you got to be very careful. Make sure you're not going to the casinos and gambling your ass off, because Sagittarius kind of rules that energy too of overindulging in those kind of activities. And then also, you don't want to try to be the center of attention when it comes to something that you're very knowledgeable of, because this can make people feel very insecure about themselves, and then you don't want to have that kind of blood on your hands just because you're wanting to express all the different knowledge that you've learned throughout your whole life. Let's say you have the sun going through your sixth house. So the sun going through your sixth house, the sixth house deals with routine, with services, with work, with health. So you're going to probably want to express yourself more when it comes to, or you may want to express to other people to get their health up, get their stay on task. You may even criticize people a little more in this time. And then with that Sagittarius energy juxtaposing there, you may be very preachy when it comes to, or you may like try to impose your view on someone else on how they should take care of themselves, how they should take care of their body, how they should work on their routines. And people, like I said, people don't really want to hear that shit all the time. So you knowing that you have the sun going through the sixth house, you can use that energy to your advantage, but don't nag people to death. let's say you have the sun going through the 7th house. So this means you have a Gemini rising because you have Sagittarius in your 7th house. So the sun falls in the 7th house. So you may be more docile when it comes to expressing yourself more. You may let other people have the stage when it comes to expressing their knowledge, because you know what you know, and this is how you relate to people, and this is how you form relationships, is based upon y'all being into the same kind of knowledge and everything. But with the sun, you may not express yourself as much. You may let other people have the floor when it comes to, and you being a Gemini rising, you already talk a lot and everything. That's already your personality, is just like communicating and being social and everything. So you may take a back seat right now and actually let other people express what they've learned throughout their life and the experiences that they've been through. Okay, sun in the 8th house. Now with the sun in the 8th house, Sagittarius being in your 8th house, you may express your knowledge of the occult more frequently than ever now. Like, you may be in that kind of energy where you feel like your best friend who isn't into astrology, who isn't into the occult, you may feel like this is a good time to actually finally express yourself and express the kind of knowledge that you've obtained. And that's cool, and depending on how you go about that energy, you could actually get some sort of positive response from this person. But just know that you have this energy, and the 8th house is just, the 8th house is a very mysterious house, period. And it's dealing with the occult, and it's dealing with secrets. So at the same time, you have to kind of be aware that those secrets could be shown at any time, and you have to be careful who you play your card with, who you show your hand to at the same time. You don't want to give out your knowledge to everybody at this time. Now let's say you have the sun going through your 9th house. This is having a Sagittarius 9th house, which means you're an Aries rising. So already by default, you're already like a very expansive person. You're already very smart, and you already have a lot of wisdom because Sagittarius is in the Sagittarius house. But with the sun being there, you may overexpress your knowledge. You may overpreach to people. You may be like the preacher in the church who just won't stop and just like tries to, you may be in that energy where you may be trying to convert people into whatever you're believing in or your belief system. Be very careful not to do that with the sun going through the 9th house. And you got to make sure that your ego is in check too. And you got to make sure that you don't expand your ego too much to where you bite more off than you can chew when it comes to particular situations. And be careful that be careful that you're not over preaching or shoving your morals down people's throats just because you got all the juice right now with the sun going through your 9th house. Okay, let's say you have the sun in the 10th house. Now this is my transit right here right now, because I have Sagittarius 10th house. So this would mean you're a Pisces rising. Now the sun in the 10th house, there's going to be a light shown on how you want to advance your career, how you want to advance your status. And when you have Sagittarius in the 10th house, the things that you want to do as a career is always expanding. Like, you may want to do one thing one day, and then the next day you may have another thought, and you want to like take a career into something else. But your career in some way, shape, or form is going to involve teaching people in some way, shape, or form. But with the sun being here, you may express more than ever the things that you're learning, how you make money off of it and everything. You may be careful not to jump into energies of bragging to people how much money or how much status you have just based upon you having so much knowledge about something. You know what I'm saying? You be in that energy where you're willing to actually share knowledge with people actually, so that they can advance their career and advance their status, because you don't want to jump into that business shark energy and just step on people's toes, because all that energy dealing with business sharks, money, business tycoons, it's all in the 10th house. Let's say you have the sun going through the 11th house. Pardon me. Now, sun in the 11th house, the sun is away. The sun is detrimented. The sun is weak in the 11th house. So Sagittarius in the 11th house, once again, Sagittarius is going to expand. And then the 11th house is dealing with your friends and your associates and dealing with your hopes and your wishes, and also technology and social media. So basically, try not to have too many associates. Keep your circle small. And don't try to overindulge onto things dealing with social media and the internet. Don't try to take too many selfies. Don't try to get too much attention. Don't get too addicted to the emojis and the likes on social media. Because you may have that star power right now, but at the same time, the sun is weak in the 11th house. So you have to be very careful how you express yourself. You have to be very careful the way that you approach this energy, because at the same time, this is kind of like that energy where people like type all their opinions and all the things that they know, and you know what I'm saying, like try to convert people to think the way they think via social media. And then you may get a rush off of the comment section of people who actually agree with you and everything like that. Be very careful not to overindulge, because that plays out like a drug too in a lot of different ways. Last but not least, let's say you have the sun going through your 12th house. So this is you having a Sagittarius 12th house, which means that your creativity, your fantasies, your dreams. The 12th house also deals with hidden enemies, and it deals with seclusion too. So you could play out that energy right now where you're very much a loner right now, and that you may not want to be very social, and you may want to keep to yourself. And that's cool actually. But don't overindulge and don't expand too much of that seclusion energy. Know that you have the sun going through the 12th house, and be able to make that work for you. Know that energy of maybe not wanting to socialize is there, but use that energy to your advantage. You may be around it. You may want to go around a crowd, and you may want to actually expand on the dreams and the creativity that you have. This may be a good time if you want to socialize. Go to the music bar or something like that, or go to an art club or something like that. A place where the environment of the 12th house energy, creativity and dreams and fantasies, or maybe Comic-Con or something like that. But do something. Go to a gathering where you're with like-minded individuals, to where people can share their knowledge and share their experiences with you, and then you don't feel so lonely and you don't feel like a loner. Alright, y'all, and that's the sun going through the 12 houses. I'm going to be making a video later on today. I'm not sure what it's going to be on. It may be a guitar video. It may be an astrology video. It may be something different. But I love y'all, and I'm going to put a link to my website right below, and peace.